So I embrace this term witchcraft. Not only it embodies feminism because like the witch hunt and the
Yeah.
and it's also
Were there witch hunts in China at any
no, there
point?
wasn't, but
Okay,
it's more
because
Western.
yeah.
But I'm embodying this term as the suffering female
Yeah.
has gone through, and also curating with so much unseen, like the ghosts, the unseen history, the memories, like it's also embodied in every in every exhibition I curated.
Mhm.
With the way that when you see a piece of work, it's not about what is on the work, but it's more about what the connection and uh, the emotion that triggered by the painting or the work. It's something. Everything is unseen. It's all fluid, and when you place a piece of work in a curated exhibition, everything must have a fluid dynamic. Like it comes in with the energy of, or I use a lot of the wuxing or the five elements, and feng shui, the study of water and wind.
Welcome to What's My Thesis. I'm Javier Proenza, and today my guest is Ann Shi, and you are the founder, director. What title do you like to go by?
I'm probably an independent or nomadic curator.
Nomadic curator. Okay, and then you do some stuff from a house gallery, but you just what's the show you just did?
The show I just did is at Charles Zanoli's studio. It's still on. The title is Nua's Garden, a summer offering in clay, fire, and water.
Wow. So okay, yeah. Leslie was when I went and visited Leslie Fram in Venice, and she was talking about the show. You mentioned her earlier, and that you kind of knew it, but she knows about you too.
Oh,
Like I don't know if she remembers me. She was telling me that I should check out the show, and that it looked great. She had very nice, positive things to say about it. So
thank
you
you.
guys are friends,
Yeah.
according to me. But cool. So you sent me a little bit of your press release for that. I skimmed it a little bit, but I want to get into all of your curatorial stuff and all of that. But I always kind of like to ask people about what their interest in art, how it started, a little bit about their cultural background, maybe even religious background if it's relevant. Because I know that like Asian cultures maybe don't have the same relationship to religion that like Western cultures, like had. But like maybe you can explain some of that to me too.
Sure.
But the main arc at the beginning that I like to go through is your earliest memories of like where you look back and you're like, oh, it makes sense that I'm doing this now. I like art. And then the other moment where you were like, I really want to make a go of this. I can't not do this or I won't be happy. And then take me through that whole trek. Include some school in there.
Oh yeah, yeah. So the trek started from my family. So my parents are both artists. My dad is a classical Chinese painter, and he's also a connoisseur in classical paintings, especially from 19th to 20th century modern Chinese paintings. And I guess his practice and how growing up looking at his brushstrokes, travels through rice paper or silk, that really gives me the emotional and the connection that mediums and water and ink would bind one another in choreography strokes and hands that
Choreography or calligraphy?
I was kind of referencing.
You're being poetic.
Yeah.
No, it worked. It worked. I just wanted to make sure. But in that context, the choreography of the calligraphy.
Yeah, in the way that the calligraphy, like it comes in a breath, like every stroke is a breath. And when you breathe and in and out, the stroke finishes, and the hands would be like the strokes. The strokes are like dancing on the papers. Very yeah, that really moves me. And how my mom also uses her body. She's a singer, and she also is a play actor and performance artist. So that
Like fine art, performance art.
not fine art, but more like play and just
Okay.
Yeah, and that body and ink and art and paper, it really comes to mind as a way that I travel with everything, with that poet, like you said, poetic sense and art. Um, and yeah, my dad was also pretty achieved high achieved artist in
Okay,
ink
so
art
he ended up having some success. Was that in here in the U.S. or
in China.
in China? So your dad had success. What does that look like? Is the art system in China? Where in China?
Guangzhou, which
Okay,
is
I'm not
or
heard.
Canton, which is in like Cantonese, Canton, which is the
So
same town.
you don't speak Mandarin, or you didn't grow up speaking Mandarin?
I speak both,
You speak both.
but my parents, I mean, when they were younger, they were also in another town, so I didn't grow up speaking Cantonese.
Oh, okay, but there's places other than Hong Kong that speak Cantonese, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
a lot of the southern cities speak Cantonese or variations of Cantonese.
Oh, so that's your southern accent.
Yeah, I also lived in Houston a little bit. I mean, yeah, I hope I still have a little bit.
So okay, so then when did you come to the U.S.?
Came to the U.S. in 2012, so 13
2012.
years ago.
Wow, how old were you? If you don't mind me asking, I
Oh.
mean, it might reveal your age if that's something you're concerned about.
That's okay. I mean, for artists and I guess curators, like they all put their birth year.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 25 when I came to the U.S.
Okay. What was that like?
Um,
You came to Houston?
I went to New York first. I was
Okay.
actually hired by a bank in New York, in Midtown Manhattan, and I was in that job for 6 years, and doing risk analysis, just banking stuff, a lot of models and all-nighters and some parties too.
So a lot of models, like not drawing models,
Not drawing models, but
like fancy, good-looking men and women. You mean?
no.
No.
I would wish.
Because
No,
you mentioned it along with the parties. No, you were modeling financial analysis stuff.
yeah, like spreadsheets and then
Okay.
Access. Yeah, a lot of projections and
Yeah.
reporting.
Gives you an idea of what I think being in a banker in Manhattan is like, like models. But okay, well then, when did the art thing? So we got a little sense of like your origins as a kid. When did you start studying to become curator and all of that, or did you not go to school for that?
I went to school briefly for art, but my actual major was in mathematics. I studied a 4-year, which is a 3-year bachelor degree plus 1-year master's at Oxford University in the UK. And I was
So you spent some time in the UK too.
yeah, I was in the UK for 7 years. Which
How old were you when you left China then?
I was 15. when
15. Okay. Interesting. Why did you leave the UK?
I guess I was really inspired by one semester abroad I took at Dartmouth College, and
Really, Dartmouth is where is
Yeah.
what made you want to come to America. Where is that? Is that in North Carolina?
yes,
yeah.
North Hampshire.
New Hampshire. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, New Hampshire.
Yeah. I was way off, but I wouldn't have gotten it. I thought it was like more. Anyway, that's crazy. So what? I guess New Hampshire is different than South Carolina or North Carolina. So I could see it being more picturesque and romantic and being like, oh, the American landscape is very beautiful.
Yeah.
And then you live in the cities and the suburbs and you're like, why did they do this? So okay. And then sorry, you went shortly to school for art in UK, you said?
I went to school in Sotheby's Institute of Art in New York and also spent a semester in London.
Okay.
Again, on art administration, art business, as well as the modern and contemporary Asian art.
Okay. And then were you ever pursuing your own career and then you decided not to, like as an artist yourself, or have you always been interested in the administrative side of the art world?
I tried to pursue like a side gig during my banking job as a singer or opera singer for a brief curate, and then just like as you can see, I'm a little bit of a stage fright person. It never went through. So
wow, so you can sing really good by yourself then?
Yeah, when no one's watching, but then when I realize a room of people are watching me, I
So if I like leave and let you record onto this microphone that's good for singing, we don't have to do it now.
Oh.
Like would that be something you could do?
Yeah, maybe
I
recording
I just kind of want to hear the talent without making you uncomfortable by making you perform. But that's awesome that you I mean, that's really fucking hard, right?
Yes, it takes a lot of training, and it's just like curating. It's very like you have to be very sensitive with your body, because you're like trying to like activate all the little muscles in your body and then be able to sense them and control them into very anatomical way.
So did you study the anatomy to kind of figure out what it is you're feeling when you were learning that stuff?
Yeah, definitely. We had a little bit of model too. Well, my mom would have a little bit of model of the inside, how it looks like where the diaphragm is and where are like the muscles around your throat. You have to try not to press the muscles of the throat, and you only use your diaphragm. Things like that.
That's so cool. Yeah. Wow, that's like a whole talent that is only for yourself because you're shy to share it. But how old were you when you were doing that?
I was about 23 to 25. I was singing around like trying to sing in public and get over that.
Get over that.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing great here. You mentioned that you get a little nervous, but I think we're moving along pretty good right now.
Because of you. You did such a good job.
Well, I told you that's my job. Yes. So my job is to make you feel as comfortable as humanly possible. And if I don't, I have failed. And I have failed before. I've had people storm out of this room.
Oh.
Yeah.
Another story.
Yes, it's remember before we were talking, I was like, you got any drama that you can tell me? And then we talked a little drama because I'm a gossip, I guess. We don't have to talk about that here though. I promised I wouldn't ask you. So then when do you start taking the curation seriously? Is it like how long has a Poco been? But I've said the name before, right?
Yes, okay. A Poco Art Collective.
A Poco Art Collective. Okay, yes. I did plug it when I introduced you, right? Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
You did.
When did that become a thing, and what was the build up towards that?
So I guess from my MA in art business and modern and contemporary Asian art, it was a lot of knowledge that comes back to me from my childhood, like learning art, like Asian art history from my dad. It all came back to me, and it really revived me to start thinking. I've always been going to museums, but I just really wanted to create something myself as well. And I applied for a job at the Rice University Moody Center for the Arts. And I was very lucky to be accepted as their project assistant curator. I was there for a year before moving to Charles Center for Asian Studies in the same campus, where I focus more on Asian art and Asian American immigrant history archivals. And I also was very inspired by that, the truth and authenticity of interviewing people, just like what you're doing, and how their memories came out. And I was remembering this very beautiful story of excuse me.
It's okay. That's called vocal fry. We all get it.
Yeah. It was just
beautiful story.
Yeah, a beautiful story about this love at first sight by a young Asian soldier, and then they were stopping buy for food at a restaurant after landing onto a port, and they were just sharing a table because the restaurant was so crowded. And then during and the girl was with her parents, and they were just like staring at each other for the entire meal. And after that, the girl stepped out, and then he chased out, and they just the next day the boy showed up at the girl's doorsteps, and then they get married ever since. He took her back to to America with him. Both of them are Asian, and
so both of them are Asians. What military was he part of? Was he American military?
Yeah, he was American military, and then he eventually settled down in Houston. So and on Rice University, we were able to invite him when he was 3 months before his death. And
oh wow,
yeah, and he was very, very conscious. He knows everything, remembers everything. He talks with so much joy, even when his wife has passed away a long time ago. And so much humor. And he was an editor, an illustrator at the Houston Chronicle for the rest of his life.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and that story really stayed with me.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I relate to the experience. Like collecting people's stories is kind of a nice thing, which is why I always like to get into people's youth and like how they get into art. What was life in China like, and what is all right, I'll put it in this context. One of the things that I was reading is that sort of your interest in curating Asian art within the US is to not have it fit within the Western art context, right?
Yeah.
Or and try to avoid that lens. So tell me a little bit about what the art world looks like without my idea of it as a Westerner. Like describe the Chinese art world. Tell me a little bit about how the gallery, like how your father was a successful painter. Was it a gallery system like it is over here, commercial galleries? I know that Hong Kong is one of the biggest cities in for art in the world, right? For collecting, right? It's like New York, LA, Paris, Hong Kong, and I always forget the fifth. Tell me a little bit about that, because I really don't know. I mean, I like to say that I'm an expert because I've done an AAPI artist panel, but I don't. I really am like, my experience is so Western. My experience is, I mean, from the Chen Hung Cheng talk, which is what I was saying, is like, the idea of the state and religion being one is so different than like even the relationship to religion. So explain that for me as a foreigner.
Yeah.
Me being the foreigner.
Well, we're all one, and there's not one foreigner to the other, but I'm sure just there's cultural differences that we're trying to, and the way, I guess. Okay, first of all, my father, he also is an artist connoisseur as well as an artist. So that was part of the lineage from the literati tradition, where people or scholars or the elites, they would actually be educated in art, and then they will also become officials, and they will also teach and rule the country with the emperor. So, and along that tradition, it's an extremely like multidisciplinary practice where one would read, educate, and write poems, which is the way that they express themselves, and also with a lot of Taoist and Confucius influence. So with my dad's literati tradition, it would be more like he would collect a lot of art himself, study them, and copy them in the way to study and homage and carry on the traditions. But then he also has his own regeneration of the tradition in his own way. And this school,
when you say copy, what do you mean copy? Like making handmade recreations of a theme, kind of like how in Western art there's like themes that are repeated, like the Annunciation, the Feast of Herod, and all of that, like biblical stories that get painted over and over again? Or is he making a true to like a one-to-one recreation?
It's more like motif, and there's also this brushstrokes because
Okay.
or bimo. Bimo is like a very key part in the literati tradition, on the more traditionalist side of Chinese paintings. I'm sure the contemporary paintings are completely on another context, in another trajectory. But in his practice, bimo, and also honoring the ancestor knowledge of bimo, like his presidents, like the masters, and learning about them and copying them in bimo, and the motif in the way, for example, Redcliffe, which is a poem or the motif painting after Su Shi's poem. Yeah, and
But he's not just like he's not essentially tracing. He's working off of the motif. Okay, yeah. Okay, just a language thing or semantic thing that I wanted to sort out.
Yeah, sure.
That's really interesting. What is contemporary Chinese art like? Does it even acknowledge, like does it acknowledge like the idea of postmodernism? Is that a thing that is part of the cultural, because I mean, I that to me is such a Western thing, because like a lot of it comes a little bit from the Second World War. So how does that play out over there?
I guess from the modernization of China, which came during the late Qing and then the Republic period.
What years is that?
Late Qing is like early 20th century,
Okay.
and then all the way till and the Republic era, like where the KMT or the Kuomintang was ruling China, and then 1949 the communists took over, and then KMT was moved to Taiwan. They escaped, and
okay.
but the modernization of China goes more like when Western influences came in. For example, Xu Beihong, who was one of the pioneers and one of the founding fathers of modern Chinese paintings, he uses like oil and acrylic painting in his Chinese paintings, which is still ink on paper, but then he introduced the three-dimensional viewing of in a Chinese painting, or
where there's like texture. You mean, is that the three-dimensional element, or is there something I'm missing?
It has the 透视 or the multi-perspective that it suggests, or the Trump loyal kind of idea that it looks more realistic than it actually is, because Chinese paintings is always flat, and also the perspective is always
so
flat.
Like you're talking about using 1 point and 3 point perspective in
yes.
these, and that's a Western introduction.
Yes, for example,
because distance is in those paintings is usually hierarchical, right? Like
it's like realistic perspectives in Western paintings and oil paintings, but then in Chinese paintings is flat. Like if you look at some of the architectural, like the 界画 or drawings, they are really like wrong in all sorts of perspectives.
I need to look at these.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can tell why.
Yes, your work definitely talks a lot about optical illusions.
And just but like also perspective that's not right. I mean, I've always been interested in, like, back in school. What I would do is I would, like, basically it looks realistic, but the rules of perspective, especially like 1 point and 2 point perspective, they start to break down if the horizon line is here, but the artwork is up here, right? Yes. So I would put my horizon line outside of the page and then just draw the distortions.
Yeah.
Like where things start to get skewed.
Yeah.
So the idea of this architectural drawing that has flatness and doesn't look right, I've never seen this. It sounds amazing to me.
Yeah. And also the way the hand scroll goes, it's like from one end to the other, and it's a narrative aspect. So you don't really see the three-dimensional, the correctness. It all comes from a very poetic depiction, and how it looks nice or comfortable for the viewer instead of being anatomically correct.
Yeah. No, that makes sense, and I can see it when you're describing it. I just didn't realize. I just never really thought of 1 point perspective as such a Western thing, but it is true. I mean, I've seen the first ever full 1 point perspective painting It's in a church somewhere. I forget what city it is. I could look it up, but it's more fun to just think of all the cities I've been in and not know which one it was.
Trying to collect.
Yeah. You know, but I think it might be where the Palio is. Where's that? That's Siena, I think. But that's fascinating. I didn't realize that was like an entirely Western contribution to art making. I figured it was something that had been developed, like, you know, like how language kind of developed, and writing specifically, not language. Language probably developed everywhere. But like there were different writing systems that all kind of happen around the same time. I figured it was something like that. I didn't realize that I spent a lot of time. I studied in Florence, and I spent a lot of time looking at architecture and just being obsessed with it, and like looking at 3-point perspective, 2-point perspective. But it makes sense that that's such a, like, I don't know what the cities were like, but like it makes sense that was happening at the time in these crowded city states. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there was funding from the church, so that's kind of how that. So is there a commercial art, especially nowadays? Like, is there a gallery system as we know it here, where, and that you're a part of, where you put on shows and you try to sell them, and that's how you pay overhead as a gallery? Or
that aspect, the financial part, I'm still figuring out, because I am trying to sustain my curatorial practice and be loyal to what my voice is. But at the same time, I do want to continue and be able to help my artists, like if I show their work, and be able to place their work into collections that support the artists and support my own practice. So I do learn that there is a conflict of interest. Of course, you're advocating from something, and then you're benefiting from that. It's definitely something that's on my mind. But at the same time, I want to be like authentic in the way that I am funding myself from. Like if somebody's coming to my small home project space or home gallery, I am sharing like what I know about the artist and authentically what I think their future are, or what and I do and I tell them like their support is not just for me as a commercial practice, but I also want to support myself. But right now I'm still trying to break even, so
no.
Think about that later.
That's not even what I was asking. But what I was saying is that is the business side that you're aware of now, as you're learning it, does that commercialization, you know, because what we're told is that China's communist, right? But then you have this class of people that's really rich as well. So I would imagine, are rich Chinese people collecting art? Have they always been collecting art? Are there big Chinese collections of specific types of art? Is that how your father sustained himself or was your father's success more state sponsored through you know, like in Europe there are artists who can get funding from the government, you know, which doesn't exist here. So that was more what I was asking.
Oh, no problem. Yeah.
But I appreciate the honesty of that, and that is actually something that I'm still learning too as I interview people. And you know, most galleries, it seems like they're pretty straight up about, like, you know, like one of the questions that I always ask is how are you going about building a collector base? And some people don't really know how to answer that question. It might be like maybe the most aggressive question that I ask. Yeah. But you even answered it without me asking, so I appreciate it. That's very vulnerable of you. But yeah, that I think I'm curious about that cultural element of how how your father's career was successful. Was it, you know, like how does the art business and art gallery thing, is it similar to how it works here, where like the gallery basically creates value for the artist by creating buzz around them, getting them shows here, there, you know, getting them a show 6 months later, after giving them a show at your space, and 6 months later they have one in New York or something like that. Yes. Is that how artists move? Is that how your father moved?
Actually, not the same in commercial sense for sure, because continue with what we discussed with the literati tradition. Sorry, I'm going a little long-winded.
No,
back.
you're doing great.
Thank you. Yeah, just let me know if
I would make it so unnoticeable that
Right.
you wouldn't even feel it.
subtle touches and so when he kind of takes on that multitasking or multi-hat role as a kind of connoisseur artist himself, and he also collects and he also trades art. Like he would have a very well refined collection from like early Republic era or late Qing, all the way until recent era. Like he has a very vigorous collecting philosophy, and that allowed him to kind of during the after the open door policy in the 90s, a lot of people started becoming aware of the value of Chinese art, and mostly based in China, or older generation of diaspora from China. And yeah, this actually helps the market, and he was able to, I wouldn't say flip, but it's the same idea. Like you refine your collection by collecting for certain pieces in your period and your artist category, but at the same time, you churn it so that the collection gets better and better. And through this way, he was able to make a little bit of money and also support his own artistic practice. And also at the same time, he started his own museum that will showcase his own curation of Chinese paintings in different periods. And he also does a lot of lecture series and parties for people to come and navigate artists and the art world, and he does this for free.
Yeah.
So.
What do you mean by literati? Because literati for me, it's a Western term. I don't exactly know how that fits within. My understanding of it is sort of like, I actually don't even know what it means. It's just Italian. Now that I'm trying to give you a definition, so tell me what it means.
Sure, it's just scholar paintings.
Scholar paintings. Yeah. Okay.
So there are both well-educated elites, and also they're most likely scholar and officials. Yeah. They write poems. They rule the country. They hold certain positions in the government, and then they also create art. And
so there's no gallery system like we have here at all. And now aside from your father, now that is there a separate gallery industry, commercial spaces and stuff like that?
Sure. There's in China, mostly it's Beijing and Shanghai and Hangzhou. The auction houses actually are speaking of the ecosystem, there's the auction houses, but then there's also gallery, but the galleries are mostly just for contemporary galleries. Okay. For contemporary art and living artists.
So your dad worked in a realm more scholarly, more academic, right? And then the galleries would do more contemporary stuff.
Right, but he doesn't touch any of the gallery stuff. He helps some of the authentication processes for the auction houses. So for like Baoli or Duo Yunshuan or a lot of those auction houses would hire him to do some authentication for them. So that's also one of the jobs. He's like also multi-job person.
Okay, so now what is the thing that, like, how, describe a little bit the Western gaze that you're trying to avoid when you're talking about Asian art? What are some examples of how, like, for example, my experience talking to a lot of people here is that a lot of, especially artists of color, that, like, if you're black, they feel like they're pressured to make artwork about being black. So Edward Cushenberry told me about one time that he was talking to a teacher and he was talking about this frustration, and the teacher was like, yeah, but you're black. so it doesn't matter what you make. You just make what you want, right?
Definitely.
And so I hear that experiences a lot with, you know, like that's one of the reasons that I'm doing such abstract kind of basic non-figurative work, because I feel like I don't really want to say I say all the politics on the podcast, you know, and I just want to make interesting work. So tell me a bit about what that gaze looks like. How do you feel like you get tokenized? How do you feel that the Western art world pigeonholes Asian art, and how are you trying to? Is this a good question?
Yeah. I'm thinking, and
Okay,
that's a wonderful question.
Okay.
And I do find Asian art in the Western, like in the museum, they're a category, just like contemporary art has a gallery, this period has a gallery, and Asian art, and then they put that in a box in a gallery.
As opposed to the year 1900 encompasses all Western and Asian art, and this is like a broader talk about what's going on.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're saying that, like, well, this is Asian.
Yeah, or the kind of fantasized Asia.
Yeah.
And I do find that in a lot of collectors' homes as well, in terms of how Asian art in their idea is very much how the dealers, like they're shaped by dealers in those times. So how, just like Getty had a few advisors, from, I think one is Venetian and the other is French, and both of them are like very advocates for the European art, and that's how that's how Getty's Institute and the collection becomes this kind of, it's in a very blunt way, old white males taste.
No. I mean, that's inescapable here. I always say, I mean, one of the things that was interesting at the AAPI talk was that Sung He said, was that that it hasn't even really hit the level that Latino art has hit here in LA. You know, it's only been like since 2020, 2020. Oh my God, I'm bad with numbers. 2020, that people started to that Latinos, like basically all of a sudden, this is my favorite way of saying, all of a sudden the white cubes realized, oh, we could put the stuff that's out there in LA in here in the gallery.
Yeah.
And I think that the impression I got, kind of the impetus behind Sung Hee doing that show, the Dreams and Migrations show, was that sense of like, oh, I mean, we have this label as a community of Asian American Pacific Islanders, but there's like her the way she said it is like, great, where's all the art? And there was none. So is that do you feel like that's still an experience that you maybe have to advocate a little bit harder for this kind of exposure for Asian artists, especially contemporary ones?
Sure. And also with contemporary art, I do feel like there's especially progression from artists who are from the traditions, practicing traditional bimo or income paper or income silk kind of practice, and then pushing that into a more relevant, because income paper as a medium in Asian art, or in East Asian art more specifically, it all has a baggage and because of that literati tradition I was talking about, it's been thousands of years, and it has to have the burden of bimo, a good aesthetics, good strong, but at the same time, they limit themselves with color, with composition, with the aesthetic, all the concepts. They are very like income paper is a very patriarchal way to begin with, because from the literati, there's no female painters that was known until maybe like 20th century. So yeah, it's been really exciting for me to see Liu Tianlian, who is an artist I've been working with for a few shows, and her works are really daring in use of colors, and she didn't learn that from her school, because
she studied in Asia somewhere.
Yeah, in Guangzhou Academy of Art, and he's follow those the schooling, very traditional ink on paper, ink on silk, but then her use of color are all super fine and natural. They're like popping at your eyes. I think if you think Murakami or the kind of pop art, that's what her colors are like. But then her brushstrokes are still really fine. Like it carries on that, like female painter can paint better or even than male painter in those times. So I do feel that her art really inspires me a lot. And she also makes fun of the, like what we talked about, the multi-perspective being all wrong in Chinese art. And she would subtly put something there to make it super fun to look at.
That's really interesting. So it almost sounds like if you wanted to be like a true Western kind of, like you could, there's an era from when I went to school. I graduated in 2007, and that was like, everybody was like all conceptual. So it sounds like you could literally just be a conceptual artist by being a woman painting in this old traditional style. Yeah. And that would itself be the conceptual conceit. And then now she's taking it further by playing with it and all of that. But it's an interesting, I'm trying to think of like what we have, because over here we have definitely that conversation about white men dominating the spectrum, and it's a problem here too. But I don't know that there was. I'm trying to think of a discipline in the art world that has ever been. I guess maybe in the Renaissance. Like I don't remember any women painters, but that was also probably like a way to hook up with young boys and have them be your apprentice. Yeah. But that's just an interesting difference. I think that I mean, I don't mean to harp on that, but I think that the idea of trying to portray art without limiting it to the Western gaze is like something that it resonates with me, because I don't even think that Latinos are really out of that yet. I think that you're seeing Latinx used less and less as a progressive virtue signal, but I think that there is still that thing of like self-congratulatory element of it. Like, aren't we cultured? Do you feel that a little bit too? In the experience of of being pigeonholed, it's like making it exotic in a certain way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't shy away from being different or exotic, and I'm sure my artists, they want to be noticed because of the tradition they come from, as long as it's coming from an authentic and good place, because like we all want to make a spot on our history. I mean, for them as an artist, and what they need is not just I guess like their brushstrokes and techniques, but more like a very progressive concept that relates to our current time and relates to our history.
And you think that do you feel like you are, by being the one curating it, you are able to facilitate that better than somebody that's let's say another white man curator?
I feel like we complement one another. I wouldn't say better, but I come from a different place.
Well, you understand the cultural background behind what they're doing. You understand the language that and the history of that language.
Yes, and I also understand the like the bimo or the qi, or where the culture, I mean, is coming from. For example, if someone grew up versus someone who might learn it in college, there's a year gap, a decade gap. And then I feel like it's hard to appreciate ink on paper with the brushstrokes without like years of experience in it. I wouldn't say like another white male colleague is not knowledgeable. I'm sure they spend their PhD decades.
In other areas. But what you're saying makes sense to me, because see, as a Catholic, I think you can't fucking understand the Renaissance
Yeah.
if you don't have the guilt.
Yeah, the guilt.
It's like,
Wow.
oh, okay. But and I've had a bunch of friends who I assume because they're American and they don't outwardly project guilt. I can tell if you're a WASP based on how you process guilt.
Yes,
You
yes.
know, so I've had friends that are white guys that I don't think are Catholic, and then they go to Italy and they see the crucifixion and they're like, I think I get it now.
Yeah.
You know? But it's like, it's one of those things that first you have to see it in person. You can't just see pictures of it. And then secondly, like there's just so much that's lost in translation. Like people are, it always makes me laugh when people are like, wait, you guys keep bones in your churches of saints? And I'm like, yeah, that's a relic.
Yes.
And people use that word all the time. They don't even know where it comes from, you know? Yeah. So I totally get that. Tell me a little bit about, specifically a little bit more about your curatorial practice. You talked a little bit about what was it? Witchcraft.
Yeah.
And when we met, I saw you at Trist Art Fair, and one of the things that I told you I was excited about is I know Latin American witchcraft. I know a little bit about African witchcraft because that's where Cuban witchcraft kind of comes from anyway. I think a lot of those traditions come from African slaves that merged with Catholicism and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that, about the mysticism, and because I think that the cultural perspective is going to be different.
Sure. So I embrace this term witchcraft. Not only it embodies feminism, because like the witch hunt and and it's also
were there witch hunts in China?
No, there wasn't, but okay, it's more Western.
Yeah.
But I'm embodying this term as the the suffering female has gone through, and also curating with so much unseen, like the ghosts, the unseen history, the memories. Like it's also embodied in every in every exhibition I curated. With the way that when you see a piece of work, it's not about what is on the work, but it's more about what the connection and the emotion that triggers by the painting or the work. It's something, everything is unseen. It's all fluid. And when you place a piece of work in a curated exhibition, everything must have a fluid dynamic. Like it comes in with the energy of, or I use a lot of the wuxing or the 5 elements, and Feng Shui, the study of water and wind.
Oh, is that what Feng Shui means? Is that like a translation, or is that just kind of what it is?
That's the translation.
Feng Shui means study of water and wind.
Yes. Oh, wind and water.
Wind and water. Wow. Yeah. I did not know that.
It's all part of the Wu. It's I
What's
guess
Wu?
Like the voodoo, or like the very like not making sense in kind of Western or the scientific point of view, but it's all like witchcraft and things that are underground, that are liminal, that don't come out to light unless it's given the light, just like Asian American history in the earlier times. And I want to embody this kind of history in the identity as an Asian person, curating this kind of practice. But I also want to honor the ritualistic and the offering in terms of because how I grew up, I saw how my parents curate their household. I grew up with a lot of art, and my dad would be extremely meticulous in how they place one work against another, and he would kind of, according to the season, he would change out paintings and put different little offerings.
It's like Christmas decorations, you know?
Yeah, seasonal decorations.
Yeah, that's very cool. But what kind of offerings?
Like I guess coins or a little bit of charm here and there. They're both Buddhists, but they're both also like Tibetan Buddhists, which I guess they are a little bit more like the Orthodox Christians, and they have a little bit of witchcraft here and there.
Yeah.
So they would put like mirrors to get rid of the bad chi here and there. Even when I live in China, I felt like I'm like in a kind of church or something. Like all these energies are like shooting at me because they put all these different little things here and there.
Interesting. That's very cool. How did you mentioned that they're Buddhists. What are you?
I guess I'm agnostic.
Agnostic. What did you grow up? Did you have rituals and stuff? Like, did you participate? Did they kind of teach you some of that stuff?
I guess they introduced me to a lot of the things or the way they live. But then, I am not religious, but I'm very spiritual. I believe in nature. I believe in connection between like the unseen. People call it ghosts, but then it's more like just this energy field. And I guess also from them, I get more sensitive to different rooms, different like airs, different paintings, and then that came in a little bit helpful in curating.
So you have like an intuitive touch. It sounds like it's a little bit of how it makes you feel, not just if it's pretty.
Yeah, I would like to embody that. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. It's the whole thing is interesting to me. I got so many questions just about cultural experience. Like, what is it like to come to the West? What were your first impressions when you were 15? Because like, okay, for me, when I was like 12, I was living in Italy, and back then the USA was the coolest thing in Italy. So like I would come to America and everyone would be like, whoa. Like I remember I told one of my friends that I was going to Miami. He goes, Miami Beach. We had British accents. It was like, wow. I couldn't believe it. It was so excited, right? And it was 80s, so Miami Vice was probably popular. But then, as a older man during the Iraq War, America was not so cool. So it sounds like you came after that. What were your impressions? What did you think America was like? Or no, to the West, because you went to the UK first. What did you think the West was like versus what it actually was? I'm fascinated by culture shock.
Sure. Yeah, I think in those days when I first got to, I guess, England first, it was a lot of, I guess, still shyness and kind of being very, trying to respect the distance between people and always being overly polite. That's always part of my way of communication or interacting with people. But I guess it was very interesting that I also had to navigate with the groups that whether I want to stay friendly with my Chinese classmates and then my local English classmates, and I think also that was also pretty interesting.
In what sense?
Like I feel very safe with my Chinese classmates, but then when I want to like be more assimilated with my local white, or mostly white actually, even like in those days, classmates, it was it's I would get a little bit of questions from my Chinese group, like, why are you hanging out with white people?
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it is a funny thing. Growing up, I've always just seen groups of Asians hanging out, and I totally understand that because I am like this. I always see Latinos hanging out too, But it's funny as an immigrant to sort of have people be like, "No, you need to stay unassimilated." Almost, is that kind of how it felt, or?
Yeah. There's part of me want to assimilate, and part of me who wants to stay safe with my
What is unsafe about the UK? A lot of it, huh?
Yeah, I guess.
Were there like cultural mores that you struggled with when you first got out here? Like, because the British out here, people think the British are the most polite people in the world, but I've met them.
Yeah, I think it.
And there's some
changes.
there's some like white people over there too. You know, that would put whoever Americans think of as like, I guess the stereotype is the Southerners. There's some very scary people in the UK. Was that your experience or no?
Yeah, during high school or A levels, I felt like I probably was not in the best part of town. Yeah, it was a little rough town, but and Oxford actually was also very different. Yeah, it's a very competitive school, and I felt very, very not smart in the group of classmates.
But you had the language barrier. I mean, you got to be fair to yourself, right?
Not only that, it was everyone is a genius in college. It's so overwhelming.
Really? I thought everybody in my class was an idiot, so it's a very foreign experience to me. Yeah. But I studied art, so there you go.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Well, cool. Anything that you wanted to talk? We're like 54 minutes in. Anything that I haven't asked you about your experience that you maybe wanted to talk about? You had some notes that you wanted to look at, but I didn't want you to hold on to them.
No problem. I'm actually, it's been really enjoyable, but I felt like, because there's a lot of questions that I might not have answered, and that, for example, you were talking about the white gaze and Asian art.
Do you have more to say about that?
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fascinated. Like, I don't mean to make it like, I'm curious about experiences that I haven't had and you have had, but that is basically what this interview has been kind of like. But tell me about the white gaze.
Yeah, it's definitely feels extremely prevalent for me in the Asia Week, like in New York usually, or London. It's been around for, I think.
In the what week?
Asia Week. Which is more like
Asia Week.
There's an Asia Week, which is a 2-week art fair that's happening every March and September, and also a lot of the museums will go collect Asian art from those fairs, and I just find it fascinating how Asian art is categorized in a very like colonial perspective.
Yeah. I think. For sure, the hierarchy is still very colonial, and I think that a lot of the artists that were starting to do well, it doesn't seem to be the case, but they were worried a little bit about how sustainable is their art market. Is the interest in Latino artists a trend? There are good spaces that don't pigeonhole people. Like, I would say that Charlie James, everybody that I know that works with him, like Manuel Lopez was saying that he is el compa. Which I don't know if you speak Spanish, but that's like a Mexican way of saying that, like, no, he's legit. He's he's for real. How would we say it in Spanish? It's like, well, it's compadre, el compay, but that's more like the people in Cuba, not Miami Cubans.
I'm sure. Charlie James is definitely very extremely daring and fresh gallery, very great programs.
Yeah, and it never feels like, I never feel the white gaze there. Yeah. I feel like that's a really good space. I think there's an opening on the 19th that I want to check out. Yeah. It's I forget his last name. But I mean, go ahead.
I feel like because the Asia Week is mostly for the older generation dealers. They're not part of the contemporary art world.
Mm-hmm. So you think that it's more traditional? Do you know, have you ever studied the futurists, the fascist movement from Italy? Yeah,
that's funny.
That's one of my favorite movements, because they were so wrong about so many things, but they were so avant-garde. Have you ever read the Manifesto of Futurist Cooking?
I probably have, but I can't pinpoint that right now.
Yeah, so basically it's this whole avant-garde writing piece about how the futurists, the proper way to have a meal is to like bring in smells and then have them pushed away with fans to like as sort of like appetizers in between, palate cleansers in between meals, and different weird little like things where they were just insanely interested in all the technology. But the main thing about them is that they were like, they felt that like museums were mausoleums.
Yeah.
They were like burial grounds, and they were resisted all of. So I think it's funny. It sounds like, I mean, not that it sounds like that is a thing also in Eastern cultures as well, where it's like the youth is like, yeah, the traditions are cool, but like,
Yeah, that's really interesting too, because I also do art appraisals for Chinese painting. So occasionally I would come across some really interesting works and collections, and seeing some of the older traditions and contemporary setting is very fun.
Well, cool. Anything that we can promote for you? Like, what do you have coming up? You got any shows? How long is the show up?
So I have a closing reception with some juicy events, if I could promote
Yeah.
here.
I'm just worried that when is that closing?
On the 20th, which is in 3 days.
Yeah, no, this isn't gonna come out in time, but we can promote it. And if you send me stuff, I'll share it.
Yes, that would be great.
Okay,
Thank you.
But what do you want to plug? You can still plug it even though if it's after the fact.
Oh, sure. So we have on the closing day and Nuwa's Garden is this ritualistic offering to Nuwa, which is the Asian goddess that created human beings as well as mended the sky after a war between the goddesses, the gods of fire and thunder, and how we want to embrace both sides of the femininity as children of Nuwa or daughters of Nuwa, is to create both the holy side and the little naughty side of the femininity. With the closing, we're going to embrace with a little bit of like dirty jokes from a comedian, little dirty quizzes, and as well as some dirty songs that were sung by some of the friends of the Poco Art Collective. So if anyone's interested,
and that's at the show in, what's the place called?
The Chakanoldi Studio.
Chakanoldi. Where is that? That's in Venice?
Yeah, Venice Beach. And we're doing this on the 20th, July 20th.
So July 20th.
From 12 to 4.
Cool. That's this Sunday then?
Yes.
Okay, I'll try to swing by.
Yeah.
I want to see some rituals.
Yes. Ritual juxtaposed with like unholy stuff.
I'm definitely unholy. I fall under the sinner.
Yeah.
I'm definitely. I mean, I am an agnostic, but I am definitely Catholic.
Yeah. Embrace both sides of one.
Yeah. I mean, it's the religious trauma that I have been trying to the always feeling bad about myself as a state of being because I'm a sinner. Mm-hmm. Do you know a lot about Catholicism? Are there what are the big religions in China?
I believe Buddhism, but it's more like Confucius ideology
so it's like more philosophical. There's no like governing. You guys have Christians though, right? We put our colonialism stamp on you guys too, right?
Yes, it's everywhere.
We got everybody. We got everybody.
Brainwashed and
what a horrible thing to celebrate. Anyway, thank you so much. And your Instagram is?
My Instagram is Poco Art Collective, which is my gallery Instagram, and my personal Instagram is Anonymous Cynist with an extra N. It's like Anonymous Cynist.
Okay. Cynist is what?
A cynist as being cynical.
Okay. Cynist or cynic? I guess they're both words.
Yeah, but I want to embrace a little bit of cynicism and
cynist. Are you cynical? Because I am.
Yeah, definitely 100%.
All right, we can talk cynical shit sometime.
Yeah.
And then, guys, thank you so much for watching. I want to thank my patrons. If you guys want to help us out, like and subscribe. Check out the patron scroll. I need to start showing a patron scroll. Like and subscribe, comment, and if you want to become a patron, early episodes, and you get to show everybody that you love me and that you think I deserve to get paid. That was weird.
Definitely.
And then what's that?
Definitely. I mean, all creative deserve to be
To be honored and paid. Yeah. And then we'll be back next week with another guest and another topic that may or may not be art related. Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much, Ann.
Thank you, Javier. That's such a pleasure.
It's been great.